There's a moment most high performers experience and rarely talk about. It's not burnout, it's not failure, and it's not a lack of opportunity. It's that quiet pause before a decision that matters. The kind that doesn't come with urgency, but still carries weight. The kind you feel in your body before you can explain it out loud. You're doing well, your career looks solid on paper, people around you assume everything is fine, but internally, questions start to surface. Not dramatic questions, practical ones that won't leave you alone. Is this the right next move, or is this the next available one? Am I growing or just staying busy? If I say yes to this, what am I saying no to later? And what actually happens is the higher you go, the fewer honest conversations you get. Not because people are withholding, but because expectations change. Competence gets mistaken for certainty, and people assume you've got it all handled. Managers focus on outcomes, not alignment. Peers are managing their own uncertainty and rarely want to interfere. So you do what capable people tend to do. You think it through alone. You replay the decision in your head from every angle, and clarity doesn't disappear all at once. It slowly erodes. Usually everything still looks fine from the outside. That's exactly where I found myself earlier in my career. At one point, I was on the talent acquisition team at Target. It was a large, well-established team. I'd been there about 2 years when my director and VP selected me to co-lead one of the most visible hiring initiatives in the company's history. The goal was to hire 50 buyers in a single year, something that had never been done before. And if you're not familiar with retail, buyers are the merchants who decide what products land on the shelves and on the website. They run multi-million dollar categories. They own P&Ls. These are high stakes roles. Target headquarters is in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Most retail buyers live on the East Coast or in California. Convincing experienced merchants to relocate to Minnesota, especially with cold winters, was not exactly an easy sell. My role was to source and recruit these buyers, true headhunting, cold calls, email, outreach to people who weren't looking. That part was actually my comfort zone. I've never had an issue calling a complete stranger. What stretched me was everything around it. We had to design the entire hiring process from scratch. How we'd assess talent, how we'd move quickly without sacrificing quality, how we'd coordinate interview days where candidates flew in and met multiple leaders over compressed timelines. I facilitated interview recap sessions with senior merchant executives, people who had been running categories longer than I'd been in corporate roles. And on paper, everything looked fine. But internally, I remember thinking, I am making decisions that carry real weight. And I'm doing it in rooms where everyone assumes I've got it handled. Now, I didn't need someone to tell me what to do. I needed people I could think with, people I could pressure test ideas with, people I could go to when something didn't quite sit right before it became a problem. That was one of the first times I realized how isolating high visibility responsibility can be, even when you're performing well. I'm your host, Renee Frey, America's career strategist and your ultimate hype woman when it comes to building a career and life you actually love. Every week, I pull back the curtain on what really drives career growth and fulfillment. The mindset shifts, the strategies, and the truth-telling pep talks you need to hear. Because if you're going to spend 1/3 of your life working, you deserve to work happy. Whether you're new here or a longtime listener, I am so glad you're joining. Let's get intentional, let's get inspired, and let's grow together. Today, we're talking about something simple, underused and incredibly grounding. Your own private, personal board of directors. This isn't about networking harder. It's about collecting mentors. And it's not about asking everyone for advice. It's about being intentional with who helps you think and strategic about who you surround yourself with and who you lean on for support. Who helps you slow decisions down before momentum makes them for you? Who helps you see patterns instead of just moments? Early in your career, feedback is everywhere. Managers correct you, peers give you input, mistakes are visible and recoverable. You're learning out loud. Someone is usually watching, and guidance comes whether you ask for it or not. And as you become more capable, something shifts. You get trusted, you get autonomy, you get less feedback. Not because you need it less, because people assume you've already got it sorted out. Competence starts to look like certainty. And this is exactly what I was navigating during that large-scale hiring initiative I mentioned earlier. The reality is that the decisions that matter most start happening in quieter rooms with fewer voices, often without a clear moment to pause and evaluate. They blend into everyday work, compensation conversations, scope creep, career pivots, staying longer than you should or leaving earlier than planned. These aren't decisions you fail into, they're decisions you drift into. And drift is hard to notice while it's happening. A personal board of directors exists because perspective shrinks when responsibility grows. Pressure narrows thinking. Isolation speeds decisions you might otherwise question. Not because you're doing something wrong, because no one sees their own blind spots clearly, especially when they're capable and respected. A personal board of directors is a small group of people who serve different purposes in your thinking. Not one person who does everything. Not people who always agree with you. Not people who only reassure you. You might have an individual who challenges your patterns, someone who notices what keeps repeating and asks why, someone who doesn't rush you past discomfort, a critic who pokes holes in your logic, not to tear you down, but to protect you from blind optimism, a peer who understands the environment you're operating in, someone who knows the politics, pace, and constraints, someone who can reality check your assumptions, an external leader who helps you benchmark decisions outside of your bubble. They've seen how it plays out elsewhere. They can tell you what's normal and what's a warning sign. An advocate who speaks your name when you're not in the room, not loudly, strategically. Not everyone needs to be close. Not everyone needs to be constant. You don't even have to like them. The value comes from contrast, not volume. Different lenses create clarity. Agreement alone does not. And this doesn't start with asking people to be on your board. It starts with noticing. Paying attention to how certain conversations leave you thinking differently or calmer. Who asks you better questions than you ask yourself? Who doesn't rush to fix things for you? Who leaves space for you to think more clearly? Who gives feedback you don't always love, but you trust? The kind that lands later, the kind you replay. Who has perspective you don't yet have access to? Different industries, different stages, different consequences. Then you build relationship before request. You bring real questions. You share context, not just outcomes. You don't ask them to decide for you. You respect time. You don't overuse the relationship, and you're thoughtful about what you bring to each person. This is informal by design. There's no label required. Consistency matters more than structure. Intentional is what makes it powerful. Not frequency, not titles. One mistake is surrounding yourself only with supporters. Encouragement feels good. It can also delay hard truths. Growth requires friction, but not constant resistance, but honest challenge. Another is relying solely on your manager. Managers focus on performance. Boards focus on trajectory. At that stage in my career, it would have been easy to assume thinking alone was just part of the job. It isn't. A third is asking for advice without context. People fill in gaps with their own assumptions. That's how good people give unhelpful guidance. And one more that shows up often: waiting until things feel urgent when stress is already high. Boards are built before pressure hits, not during it. Clarity is harder to access once consequences are in motion. Proactivity matters here. Imagine you're offered a promotion, a bigger title, more responsibility, very little clarity on what success actually looks like. It feels validating at first, then slightly uneasy, then confusing. A coach helps you frame the right questions, not what sounds impressive, but what actually matters. Scope, authority, and support. A critic flags the risk you're minimizing, like being set up to fix problems without leverage or inheriting someone else's mess. An external leader helps you benchmark whether this move helps or stalls your long-term career growth. They've seen similar offers play out. They know which details matter. An advocate helps clarify expectations before you say yes, not after, not once you're already committed. Or maybe you're considering a pivot. A peer helps you reality check timing. What's reasonable? What's rushed? A critic challenges your narrative, especially the part where you over-explain or apologize for wanting something different. A coach helps you articulate the move without losing credibility, clear, grounded. An external leader helps you assess impact, not emotionally, strategically. This is how clarity gets built. Slowly, intentionally, not by reacting, not by guessing, by thinking with the right people before momentum carries you somewhere you didn't intend to go. A personal board of directors isn't about ambition. It's about alignment, an intentional way to have support around you when you need it, a strategic way to utilize different people to broaden your perspective or challenge you. Who can you turn to? Making decisions that fit who you are now and who you're becoming. It's recognizing that the more experienced you become, the more intentional your support needs to be. Not louder voices, not clearer ones, not more opinions, better perspective, different angles. If you're the only voice shaping your career decisions, you're missing information. Not because you lack awareness, because awareness expands when it's reflected and challenged. A conscious career isn't built by chasing opportunity. It's built by choosing direction, often quietly. And direction is rarely a solo act. Here's your invitation this week. Ask yourself, who challenges your thinking? Who tells you the truth? Who sees the bigger picture you're working towards? And who would advocate for you if an opportunity opened tomorrow. Notice where there are gaps. Notice where you've been relying on yourself alone. That awareness matters. If the answers aren't clear yet, that's okay. Clarity starts with noticing, not fixing. If this episode resonated, share it with another person who's navigating big decisions quietly. And if you haven't already and you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe. If you're listening, hit follow. I drop new episodes every week to support your career and your mindset. Until next time, stay conscious, stay inspired, and keep building the career and life you love. See you next time. Cheers.